Millionaire CEO reveals hidden kindness. Touching act of his maid changes everything in 30 days. Ethan stood in his sleek, glass office, the endless skyline of Chicago stretching behind him. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over Lake Michigan, but he felt none of its warmth. Alone amidst his empire, he gazed at his reflection, blonde hair neatly combed, tailored suit hugging his frame. He was a millionaire CEO, revered by many, yet inwardly, he was a hollow shell. In that moment, an emotional whirlwind caught him off guard. He dismissed the idea that something was amiss in his life. For years, he thrived on money and power, ruling over boardrooms like a titan on a mountain of success. His employees? Tools. Disposable. And one among them, Maria, his maid, was just another face in the crowd until the night he caught her in an unexpected act of kindness. Maria stood stooped next door, her humble appearance catching Ethan's eye. She rifled through her pockets, finally handing a few crumpled bills to a neighbor struggling just to buy bread. The act was dirt simple, but something about it tugged at the chords of Ethan's heart. Her spirit shone brighter than the city lights outside, igniting a flicker of something he thought had long extinguished: empathy. He began to watch her, capturing glimpses of her life with wary eyes. Each evening, as he raced through meetings and projections, Maria could be seen leaving her other jobs, her hair pulled back and a tired smile on her face. After weeks of seeing her warm interactions with the children climbing on her hips, his world began to shift. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the following 30 days, Ethan made it his mission to learn from Maria. They struck up an unexpected friendship, with laughter echoing in the pristine office halls. He listened to her tales of resilience, her dreams of a better life for her children, and the daily pressures that bore down on her slender shoulders. The stark contrast between their lives felt almost comical. Maria's stories embedded themselves deep in him, evoking emotions long buried under layers of ambition. One chilly evening, as he explored a neighborhood he had long ignored, he stumbled upon a story that knocked the wind out of him. While talking to Maria, he learned of her past, her hardships, sacrifices, and struggles that turned her into the woman standing before him today. A single mother juggling 3 jobs, yet her kindness never wavered, even when life shoved her into a corner. The revelation sent shockwaves through him. Ethan faced a crossroads. Should he continue to chase corporate accolades, prioritizing societal perception, or fight against the current for Maria? Would he advocate for her dignity, even when it meant challenging every preconceived notion he held about success? The tension thickened, each moment spinning between hope and despair. With each passing day, the weight of his past actions loomed larger. It was time to decide: would he embrace this new road, and in doing so, learn the true meaning of respect and equity? The clock ticked down, and the stakes were higher than ever. Ethan stepped into the chilled air of the evening, the familiar sounds of the city buzzing around him. It seemed different somehow. The once comforting chaos now felt distorted, a dull roar compared to the clarity he was now striving for. Staring up at the towering buildings, he felt small, insignificant in the grand scheme of everything he once held dear. His feet gingerly made their way to a small park, a place he had overlooked all his life. It was late, and most of the swings hung still, a stark contrast to the laughter and joy they usually echoed. But something in the stillness called to him. He sank onto a bench, and closing his eyes, let his thoughts drift to Maria. With every shared story, every laugh they exchanged, something profound had been stirred within him. He thought back to the many times he ignored the struggles around him, too consumed by meetings and profits. How many times had he brushed aside the face of hardship when it didn't fit into his world? Hey! A voice jolted him from his reverie. It was a little girl from the neighborhood, shyly peeking from behind a tree. Her pigtails bounced in tiny spirals as she stepped forward, hesitation mixed with curiosity. "Hi there," Ethan said, a smile breaking across his usually stoic face. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her wide eyes taking in the expensive suit he wore. "Just thinking," he replied softly. It felt strange, even to him, using such humble words for a man who had fought tooth and nail to be at the top. But the truth was, he had never felt more lost. About what? The girl inched closer, her innocence disarming. About being kind and how it feels to help others, he admitted, surprising even himself with his honesty. "Like my mom?" She wondered aloud. "She helps everyone. Sometimes we don't have enough food, but she always shares." Ethan felt a wave of warmth wash over him. This little girl, so raw and honest, reflected Maria's spirit and the kindness of a world he was just beginning to appreciate. It was a simple truth, yet it held immense weight. It made him reconsider the very foundations of his existence. The girl bounded back to the playground, leaving Ethan to grapple with his transformation. He thought of Maria's relentless determination and dreams for her children. He finally understood that real wealth wasn't just financial, it was built on connections, compassion, and community. With determination, Ethan resolved to break down the walls he had carefully constructed over the years. He couldn't go back to his old ways. He had tasted a different kind of success, one that brought purpose instead of punishment, and he could no longer ignore it. Early the next morning, Ethan summoned his leadership team. The boardroom felt electric with the possibilities of change. He took a deep breath, ready to lay out a vision that felt right. "Today, we're starting something new," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "We're prioritizing a charity initiative that will support families like Maria's. And I'm committing to seek equity in our hiring practices." His words hung heavy in the air. Doubts flickered in the eyes of his colleagues. But today, he chose to face them head-on. There would be challenges, conflicts to navigate, but he was prepared to fight for a better future. As he looked around the table, he felt the weight of change. For the first time, his heart was full of hope, energized by determination. But as the meeting wore on, murmurs filled the room, slowly morphing from skepticism to intrigue. Would his colleagues embrace this unexpected shift? Would Maria's faith in him continue to grow, or would he falter? Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning, his journey toward redemption intertwined with the lives of those who had once seemed so distant. He stepped outside, the sun breaking through the clouds, illuminating the city anew. He felt alive, the pulse of Chicago echoing the rhythm of his heart. What he didn't see was a shadow lurking behind the bright facade of hope, someone who had reason to undermine his newfound purpose. Would Ethan be ready for the storm ahead? Ethan woke the next morning to the sound of his alarm cutting through the remnants of a restless night. The familiar buzz of notifications on his phone signaled a tightening knot in his stomach. Today would be the real test. He dressed with a mix of excitement and trepidation, asking himself if he could truly follow through with the promise he'd made not just to his team, but to himself. Stepping out into the city, he was met with the sharp bite of the cool air. The streets thrummed with life, a stark contrast to the stillness he had found at the park the night before. Horns honked, people rushed by, and vendors shouted their morning wares. And yet, in the heat of the city's chaos, he felt like an island, floating amidst a turbulent sea of uncertainty. Ethan arrived at the office, where his leadership team was already gathered, their faces a mix of anticipation and apprehension. He positioned himself at the head of the table, scanning the room filled with familiar faces that now felt almost foreign to him. "Let's get right to it," he started, his voice firm yet softer than he remembered. "Change begins today." He shared the vision he had outlined the previous day, detailing plans not only for financial contributions but also for volunteering initiatives and mentorship programs aimed at uplifting the very community he had once ignored. At first, the response was muted, skepticism etched on the brows of some, while others looked intrigued. He felt the weight of their judgment pressing down, like a physical barrier he would need to break through for this to work. The room was silent, and Ethan could feel his heart racing, palms clammy against the cool surface of the table. After a few tense moments, Sarah, one of the brightest minds in the company, broke the silence. "This is ambitious, Ethan, but do you really think our clients will support it?" He took a breath, allowing his mind to wander back to the little girl and her mother's generosity. "I believe they'll appreciate our intention to give back. We can set the tone, we can show that a company's value lies in more than just profit." The murmurs in the room shifted slightly. Ethan felt a flicker of hope. Several colleagues began nodding, some even smiling as they began to see the bigger picture unfold. After a robust discussion, ideas and suggestions flowed. Slowly, the energy shifted from doubt to possibility. As he wrapped up the meeting, Ethan sensed the atmosphere had changed. They were beginning to embrace this new mission. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about everyone. The hearts in the room felt lighter, a sense of purpose ignited. They could truly make a difference. But just when things appeared to be crystallizing into a tangible force for good, Naomi, his assistant, stood up, her brow furrowed as she approached him after the meeting. "Ethan, there is something you need to see." Her voice tightened, drawing him back into the pressure of reality. "What is it?" he asked, a sudden chill running down his spine. "There's been a complaint someone is unhappy with these plans. It's about our client, the one with substantial influence in the firm. He's not on board." Ethan's heart sank. He had envisioned a smooth transition, but he had been naive to think everyone would be on board. This was the moment he had to confront the deep-seated challenges of change. Doubts crept back in, whispering that maybe he wasn't ready for this battle after all. Unable to shake off the apprehension, he asked, "Who is it? What are they saying?" Naomi hesitated, her face pale. "It's South, someone close to you, Ethan, someone you've trusted. They want to see you fail." Ethan's gut twisted, his dreams suddenly feeling fragile as glass. Who would dare challenge him as he tried to do good? The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on him. Could he navigate the treacherous waters ahead? Would he hold on to the change he desperately wanted to see? As he stood by the window, staring down at the bustling streets below, he felt the storm brewing inside him and around him. Little did he know, this upheaval would test not just his resolve but the very essence of his newfound path. What lengths would he go to protect his vision? Would he rise above the obstacles, or would darkness once again cloud his judgment? Ethan paced the small confines of his office, the weight of Naomi's words pressing heavily on his shoulders. 1,000 thoughts raced through his mind, each one colliding with the others like cars in a pile-up. Who was it that wanted to see him fail? His mentor? A colleague? The possibilities churned, each scenario adding to his mounting anxiety. Naomi's concerned gaze lingered on him as he stood frozen in thought. "You need to make a decision, Ethan. Whatever is happening, it's serious, and you can't ignore it," she urged gently, her voice softening the sharp edges of panic that surrounded him. Taking a deep breath, he felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. He couldn't let fear steer the ship now. Not when he had just rallied his team, igniting a spark of hope. What's the worst they can do? Pull their funding. I have to believe that the community needs this change. I just have to push a little harder. Do you want me to look into it?" she offered, her eyes intent on his. "Not yet," he replied, shaking his head. "Let us keep this between us for now. If I'm going to confront this, I need to understand it fully. I have to know what I'm up against." The day dragged on, each hour stretching painfully as he fielded calls and managed emails. The buzz of the office felt muted, like a distant echo lost under the weight of his dread. Each time his phone vibrated, his heart quickened, half expecting the source of his turmoil to reveal itself. Finally, as the sun hung low in the sky, bathing the city in hues of orange and pink, Ethan felt a sense of clarity wash over him. He needed to find the root of this discontent. Perhaps he could summon the courage to reach out to those concerned. After all, communication was key. He gathered his thoughts and approached Sarah, whose insight he'd come to respect. She was still at her desk, buried in paperwork. "Sarah, can I have a word?" he asked, pulling up a chair next to her. "Sure, Ethan. Everything all right?" she asked, sensing the gravity in his voice. "I've hit a snag," he confessed, telling her about the complaint and the unease lingering in the air. "Do you have any idea who might not support our new direction?" Sarah leaned back in her chair, considering his question. "You know, we have clients who thrive on existing patterns. Change can be alarming for them. It might not be just one voice, more like a chorus of doubt." The realization stung, but Ethan felt relief in her honesty. "Then it's not just about one person's opinion," he said, straightening up, fueled by a renewed sense of purpose. "If we want this to work, we need to engage with them. Listen to their concerns. We can't ignore them." Just then, Naomi re-entered the room. "Ethan, there's someone waiting for you in the lobby. They say they need to talk to you urgently." His heart raced again as he exchanged glances with Sarah, who looked equally surprised. "Who is it?" "I don't know," Naomi replied, her brow knitted in confusion. "They wouldn't give their name, but they said it was important." Ethan swallowed hard, adrenaline sharpening his focus. "All right," he said, standing up. "Let us find out what this is about." As he made his way to the lobby, every step felt heavy with anticipation. Who was here to meet him? Would it be the voice of dissent, or would it be someone that could help clarify the chaos spiraling around him? Ethan pushed open the glass door to see a figure standing near the reception desk. The moment their eyes met, he felt his breath hitch. There, standing half in the shadows, was a person whose appearance sent an electrifying jolt through him. Suddenly, everything seemed to hang in the balance. Would they reinforce his fears, or reveal something that could change everything? What truths lay ahead, waiting to be uncovered? Ethan's heart raced as he took in the figure before him. A wave of recognition washed over him, a mix of shock and intrigue. It was Leo, his former colleague, someone he hadn't seen in years. Leo's expression was a mixture of urgency and uncertainty, and Ethan felt an involuntary shiver run down his spine. "Ethan," Leo said, his voice low and steady. "I need to talk to you. Now." Ethan's mind was racing. Why had Leo sought him out? The last time they spoke, they had parted ways on somewhat strained terms. What's this about? Ethan pressed, a cautious edge creeping into his voice. "Can we speak privately?" Leo glanced around, as if expecting eyes to be everywhere. Ethan glanced back at Naomi and Sarah, their expressions mirroring his confusion. With a nod, he gestured for Leo to follow him into a small meeting room down the hall. Once inside, Ethan closed the door behind them, the muffled sounds of the office fading away. "What is going on?" he asked, an anxious knot tightening in his stomach. "It's serious," Leo began, his tone grave. "I've heard whispers, Ethan. There are people who want this initiative of yours to fail. Not just because of the money, but for personal reasons. They see your success as a threat." Ethan swallowed hard. "But why me? What have I done to make anyone feel that way?" "Success breeds envy," Leo said, his brown eyes piercing into Ethan's. He took a deep breath, his hands trembling slightly. "I know how hard you've worked, but not everyone is rooting for you. I've been following your progress, and I admire it. Just be careful. There are networks against you, and they're more organized than you think." Ethan processed this information, a familiar sense of dread creeping back in. Questions swirled in his mind. Who? Do you know who I should be watching out for? "I don't have names," Leo admitted, looking frustrated. "But there's movement. Conversations I overheard. At least one person close to you might be involved. I thought you deserved a warning. Why are you telling me this now?" Ethan felt a flash of suspicion. What do you stand to gain? I don't want to see you fail, Leo replied, and for a fleeting moment, Ethan saw a glimmer of sincerity in his old friend's eyes. Regardless of our past, I believe in what you're trying to do. I need you to know the stakes. If you really want to make this change happen, you need to keep your eyes open. Ethan took a step back, feeling the weight of Leo's words settle on his shoulders. His mind raced. Doubt crept back in, but so did a surge of determination. He could either retreat or dive deeper into this fight, but one thing was clear: he had to be vigilant. Thanks for coming to me, Leo, Ethan finally said, steeling his resolve. I appreciate the heads up. But I have to face this head on. I can't let fear win. As he stepped back out into the bustling office, the familiar sounds of typing and chatter filled his ears, but it felt different now. Each conversation, each laugh masked a potential threat. Ethan spotted Naomi and Sarah, and there was a flicker of unease in their eyes as he approached. Hey, everything okay? Naomi asked, a trace of concern in her voice. Yeah, I just learned something important, Ethan replied, his expression hardening. We need to stay united. There might be obstacles ahead, but we won't back down. The fire inside him ignited once more as he turned to face the challenges waiting outside the doors. That night, as Ethan lay in bed, thoughts swirled like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. What if Leo was right? Who could he trust? And what lay ahead that would test not only his initiative but his very character? With questions looming, he closed his eyes, steeling himself for the battles to come. Would he rise from the shadows, unearthing the truth, or would the weight of colluding forces drag him down? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain: he wasn't about to lose without a fight. As dawn approached, Ethan felt a newfound urgency to uncover the hidden truths. Little did he know, someone close to him was watching and waiting, ready to make their next move. The morning sun filtered through the blinds, casting stripes of warm light across Ethan's room. He woke with his mind whirling, the shadows of the night refusing to lift. It was strange, how one brief encounter could reshape everything. Leo's warning echoed in his ears, wrapping themselves around his heart with an icy grip. He got up, splashing cold water on his face, trying to shake off the unease. As Ethan stared at his reflection, his brow furrowed in deep contemplation. The lines on his face seemed to deepen with worry, but beneath it all, a flicker of determination ignited. He was no stranger to challenges, but this felt different. There were unseen forces in play, and every smile shared in the office now felt laced with tension. With no time to waste, Ethan slid into his suit, a fitting armor for the day ahead. He couldn't let fear dictate his actions. He needed to lead his team through the fog of uncertainty. Each step toward his office felt like a march into battle. Naomi was already at her desk, fingers flying across the keyboard. She looked up as he entered, her eyes searching his face for clues. You good? She asked, her voice soft, tinged with concern. I'm fine, Ethan replied, his tone steady. We need to have a team meeting. I want to discuss our next steps, and how we can stay ahead of whatever might be coming. Naomi nodded, but he could see the worry in her expression. He pushed down the instinct to reassure her. Instead, he drew strength from it. Gathering Sarah and a few other team members into the conference room, Ethan felt an electric mix of anxiety and hope. He couldn't disclose everything. He had to protect them from the swirling storm that was forming, but he wanted them to feel the weight of the danger so they could be prepared. Listen, everyone, he began, pacing slowly before them. I've received some concerning information regarding our project. There are people who might not want us to succeed. This isn't just about business. It's personal for some. His voice held steady, but he could feel the tension building in the room, hanging thick like humidity before a storm. What does that mean for us? Sarah asked, her tone edged with worry. Ethan inhaled deeply, searching for the right words. We need to stay united. Trust each other. And if you see or hear anything unusual, come to me immediately. There was a sense of resolve in the room, an unspoken pledge binding them together. Ethan could see fear etched in their features, but there was also a fire igniting in their eyes. It was a risk, sharing more than he usually would, but he believed that it would galvanize his team, making them stronger. Once the meeting ended, he felt a weight lift slightly. Engaging with them had sparked a deeper sense of community, one that would hopefully protect them against whatever lay ahead. As they broke from the meeting, Naomi pulled him aside. "Ethan, I know this is a lot, but I trust you. Let us be in this together," she said, her sincerity radiating. Ethan felt a warmth at her words. "Thank you, Naomi. I want to let you down." Later that afternoon, he dove into work, but his mind drifted back to Leo's warning. The questions resurfaced: who was close enough to betray him? He placed a hand to his chin, contemplating every interaction, every word said that could reveal a fracture in his team. Yet through this swirl of suspicion, something unexpected happened. A team member approached him with a simple request, a small community initiative that needed funding. It was a chance to give back, to create goodwill amidst the chaos. "Let us do it," Ethan replied without hesitation. "If we can sow kindness, maybe we can counteract what's brewing." As the words left his mouth, he felt a thrill he hadn't anticipated. Maybe approaching this with compassion was his most powerful weapon. But before he could celebrate the idea, a chill washed over him. He glanced at the window, catching a glimpse of movement outside, a figure lingering too long, too close. Recognition sparked within him. Ethan's heart plummeted. Could someone from his past be the very storm he feared? The weight of uncertainty hung heavy in the air as he contemplated his next move. What if this was just the beginning? The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced across Ethan's office. The faint hum of conversation faded as he stared unseeingly at the screen in front of him. The thrill from earlier had dissipated, replaced by a nagging sense of dread. He kept returning to the figure outside, the one who had sparked recognition but left him reeling. "Are you all right, Ethan?" Naomi's voice broke through his trance, concern lacing her tone. He glanced up, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just thinking." It was a half-truth. He was actually piecing together a puzzle that felt increasingly daunting. Naomi furrowed her brow, her presence embodying both comfort and worry. She leaned against his desk, her fingers tapping softly on the edge. "Thinking about the project?" "More like about what's happening around us." He hesitated. How much could he reveal? Every word felt like stepping further into murky waters. Naomi's gaze sharpened, her instinct for trouble on high alert. "Are you sure you want to keep that to yourself? If you're holding something back," Ethan shifted, wanting to open up but sensing the storm looming on the horizon. "It's complicated. I'm trying to protect the team. But you're carrying it alone." Her voice softened, as though she understood. A small silence pulled between them, thick with unspoken fears. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "I guess I thought it would be easier to carry the weight myself." "Easier or just lonelier?" she challenged gently. The question hit him hard. He had always taken pride in facing challenges alone, but perhaps in doing so, he was losing sight of what really mattered, the community they had built. "Maybe you're right," he said, his voice barely a whisper. Just then, the door swung open, and Sarah walked in, an envelope in hand. "Ethan. You need to see this." She handed it to him, her eyes wide with urgency. He opened it, scanning the contents. A small smirk played on his lips before anger washed over him. It was an anonymous tip regarding the figure he'd seen earlier, a familiar name connected to shady dealings that could threaten everything they had worked for. "Damn it," Ethan muttered. "It's worse than I thought." "What is it?" Naomi asked, her cool professionalism returning. Ethan looked up, determination rekindled in his chest. "We're dealing with someone close to us, someone who seems willing to do whatever it takes to derail our success. As he shared the details, Sarah's face paled. "So, what do we do?" "We confront the issue," Ethan replied. "But we do it strategically. We'll prepare ourselves in case this turns into a full-blown battle." Naomi nodded in agreement, her eyes reflecting a fierce resolve. "We'll stand together, right?" "Together," Ethan affirmed, feeling a new energy pulse through the room. It was a small step, but it was something, an act of defiance against the encroaching shadows. The team rallied around, each of them re-energized, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The threat they were facing was real, but so was their bond. As the day wore on and the office emptied, Ethan lingered, deep in thought. He had initially intended to act alone, but now he realized he could lean on those he trusted. A sense of hope flickered bright in his mind. Perhaps love and kindness nestled in their resolve would be the most potent armor in the battle to come. He stepped outside to grab some fresh air, only to feel a chill wrap around him as he spotted the figure again standing right where he had seen them before, just across the street. This time, they were looking right at him. His heart raced. Why were they watching him? What were they planning? The looming questions tightened in his chest, leaving him on edge. Ethan stepped back into the office, determination surging. What was he going to do about it? Little did he know, the answer would force him to choose between protecting his team and confronting his past. Would he have the courage to face both? Ethan's heart pounded as he stood at the threshold of his office, the figure across the street still locking eyes with him. This wasn't just a shadow lurking at the periphery, it was a specter from his past, and the weight of it threatened to crush him. He had spent years burying old wounds, deceiving himself into believing he had moved on. But here it was, undeniable and real. Naomi's voice broke through his daze. "Ethan, what's wrong?" Her eyes darted to the window, following his gaze. "It's them," he said, barely above a whisper. "The person I thought I'd never have to deal with again." A chill gripped him, tightening around his chest like a vice. "Who?" Sarah asked, dread creeping into her voice. "The one who was part of my past, the one who knows too much." He turned away from the window, dragging in a breath as he tried to regain his composure. "We've got to move. Now." Naomi and Sarah exchanged worried glances, but the resolve in Ethan's tone galvanized them. "What do we do?" Naomi demanded, stepping closer, ready for battle. "We gather intel. I need to know what they want." Ethan's mind raced, recalling every deceit, every broken promise that sat like stones in his stomach. "We need to prepare. But not just information. We need a plan, and I might need to dig deeper than I expected." "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Digging into your past could open old wounds," Sarah cautioned, her brow furrowing with concern. "Let's just say facing this ghost is inevitable," he replied, a flicker of determination igniting within him. "I can't let this jeopardize everything we've built. I owe it to the team." They spent the next few hours gathering clues and mapping out connections that could lead to the answers Ethan needed. The atmosphere crackled with urgency, but each chart drawn and phone call made just deepened the anxious knot in his stomach. As night fell, Ethan felt the exhaustion settle in. They had pieced together a network of dubious contacts, and from what he gathered, it was only a matter of time before the figure began to make their move. "Hey," Naomi said softly, interrupting his thoughts. "You don't have to do this alone. We're in it together, remember?" He nodded, grateful for her support, but the reality of facing his past loomed large. It was more than just the business at stake, it felt personal. "Yeah," he replied quietly. "But this isn't only about us anymore." The truth shivered on the edge of his lips. If his past collided with their present, their fates could intertwine in ways he couldn't anticipate. Suddenly, a skittish vibration from his phone jolted him back to the present. It was an anonymous message. His heart raced as he opened it. "Stop digging or else." Ethan's blood ran cold. This was a direct warning, most likely from the figure he had seen. The ghost that was meant to stay buried was now clawing its way back into his life. Naomi and Sarah peered over his shoulder, their faces waning with apprehension. "What is that?" Naomi whispered. He turned to them, fury and fear battling for control. "They're not just threatening me. They're threatening all of us. Then we fight back," Sarah declared, her voice full of fierce resolve. "We won't let them intimidate us." Ethan felt that flicker of determination grow into a fire. He had let his past dictate his present for too long. Now, they were done running. They would confront it head-on. As Ethan strategized their next steps, he couldn't shake the feeling of impending chaos creeping closer. The universe reminded him, often unforgivingly, that the past has a way of catching up. But this time, he wouldn't let it defeat him. As plans unfolded, a new realization struck him: maybe, just maybe, confronting this darkness could lead to redemption not only for him but for those he cherished the most. Ethan raised his eyes, locking onto his team. "We're going to come out of this stronger." But in the back of his mind, doubt lingered. Would he really have the strength to face what was coming? As they left the office that night, the shadows felt heavier, pressing against him with every step. The chilly air wrapped around him like a warning, urging him to prepare, for the true battle was just beginning. Would he be ready when the moment came? Ethan's mind was a storm as they stepped into the night. The chill wrapped around him, a chilling reminder of the looming threat. He looked at Naomi and Sarah, their determination matching his own, but he could see the worry etched on their faces. They had committed to fight, but the weight of his past felt like a banner they'd all have to bear. "Let's South regroup at my place," he suggested, his voice steady despite the tumult inside. "We can dig deeper into who that figure might be and what they want from me." They nodded in unison, and together, they made their way to Ethan's apartment. It was only a short drive, but it felt like a lifetime. With each passing minute, the weight of the unknown grew heavier. What would it mean to confront the past? Could he truly unearth those buried emotions without losing himself? Once they arrived, the chaos of the outside world faded as they settled in. Ethan flicked on the kitchen light, illuminating the familiar space. But the comfort of home felt distant. They gathered around the kitchen table, a map of painted connections sprawled out before them, the remnants of their earlier research. Naomi lifted a marker, her focus sharp. "Let us start with what we do know. This person is connected to you. That means they're familiar with your weaknesses. What do you think they want?" Ethan balled his fists, closing his eyes to think. "Control, maybe. Or revenge for something. If they know too much, it can't just be to rattle me." His hands trembled slightly, the remnants of fear creeping back in. Sarah placed a gentle hand on his arm. "Ethan, you're not alone in this. We've got your back. Just remember, whatever they're trying to do, we'll figure it out together." "Yeah," he replied, guilt tinging his voice. "I just never wanted to drag you both into my mess. I thought I could keep you safe from this." Naomi leaned in, her eyes fierce. "We chose this. Together. You can't keep shouldering this burden alone. It's affecting you. And it's not just about your past anymore, it's about our future." Taking a deep breath, he steadied himself. Were they right? Could facing the truth lead to clarity, or would it just unleash darkness? "We need a plan," he said, shaking off the doubts. "If they're trying to intimidate me, then we can turn that around. We can outsmart them." With renewed vigor, they pored over connections, gathering names and numbers, strategizing potential moves. Hours passed, but time felt irrelevant. The fear of the unknown kept the adrenaline pumping through Ethan's veins, awakening a part of him he thought was long forgotten. Just as they began to feel the pull of exhaustion, Naomi's phone buzzed on the table. Her expression changed to one of terror, a stark contrast from the earlier determination. "What is it?" Ethan asked, heart pounding in sync with hers. "It's another message," she stammered, her fingers shaking as she read the words on the screen. It says, I know where you are. You can't hide from me. Ethan's breath quickened, panic racing down his spine. What do they want? He scanned the room, the shadows growing deeper around them, morphing into ominous figures. The weight of 1,000 potential outcomes pressed against his chest. Maybe it's time we reverse the tactic, Sarah suggested, biting her lip. Instead of hiding, we show them we're not afraid. We turn the tables. Ethan nodded slowly, the fire sparking in his chest again. Could facing this threat bring them closer? Would it unlock strength from within that had been dormant for too long? As they plotted their next steps, a sense of resolve fortified the air around them. They would not cower. This was their moment to reclaim power. But deep inside, a nagging thought flickered like a warning light: what if confronting the darkness only led to more danger? The night felt heavy with anticipation. As they prepared to meet whatever came their way, Ethan could only wonder, was he ready for the truth that lay just beyond the horizon? The next few days blurred together in a whirlwind of planning, anxiety, and a determination that felt almost electric. Ethan, Naomi, and Sarah became a tightly knit trio, gathering intel and preparing their strategy for when the shadow of the figure from Ethan's past would finally make their move. Ethan was no longer just a businessman, he had transformed, stepping into a role he never expected: defender of not just his dreams, but the dreams of those who believed in him. Resilience bubbled within him, more potent than the fears that once consumed him. One evening, after countless late-night brainstorming sessions, Ethan stood before a sprawling whiteboard filled with notes, names, and connections. He felt the echoes of past failures whisper around him, shadows threatening to close in. But he quickly squashed the doubts. This was a different Ethan, one who understood that real strength came from community and facing fears head-on. Okay, here's the plan. He turned to Naomi and Sarah, his heart racing with excitement and nerves. We need to draw them out. Show them that we will not be intimidated. Naomi nodded, her expression fierce as always. What are you thinking? I say we host a community event, he proposed, his voice steady. Something big, something that would make headlines. We'll invite not only the community but also the business moguls who will be our allies when they see the genuine good we want to create. And then we can keep our eyes open, Sarah added, her brows furrowed in thought. If this person is watching, they'll have to reveal themselves eventually. They won't be able to resist coming to put a stop to it. Ethan felt the pulse of purpose in the room. Exactly. We draw them out. This will show everyone what we stand for and remind them, we are not small figures in a game. We are the change. As they worked tirelessly to prepare for the event, Ethan felt a strange sense of calm. It was as if the storm that had loomed over him was beginning to dissipate, replaced by a fierce light that illuminated everything ahead. He realized that serving the community and protecting what mattered would be his true legacy. News of the upcoming event spread like wildfire, and the excitement was palpable. Ethan could feel the momentum building. But deep within, the fear of confrontation lingered just beneath the surface. The day of the community event arrived bright and unseasonably warm. Ethan stood at the front with Naomi and Sarah, surveying the crowd that had gathered. Families, friends, and allies flocked to the park, buzzing with life. Laughter intertwined with chatter, and for a moment, everything felt right. We did this. Sarah announced, her eyes sparkling as she scanned the crowd. Look at the turnout. Yeah, Ethan agreed, pride swelling in his chest. But we need to stay vigilant. They could still show up. As the speeches began, Ethan spoke passionately about unity, kindness, and growing together. Each word resonated, binding everyone in that park, fostering a sense of hope. But just when the moment felt perfect, a chilling wind swept through the crowd, slicing through the joy like a knife. Ethan's instincts kicked in, and he turned to find the very figure he had dreaded loomed near the edge of the gathering, a silhouette watching with an icy stare. His heart thudded violently in his chest, yet he felt a surge of power. This time, he wouldn't hide. This time, he would face them. Everyone, Hold on a moment, he said, his voice breaking through the hum of excitement. Silence fell across the park, and all eyes turned toward him, curious and concerned. It seems we have a guest today. Ethan pointed straight out to the figure, and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Faces turned from worry to apprehension. Who are they? Someone shouted from the crowd. I don't have the luxury of turning a blind eye anymore, Ethan replied, his voice steady and strong. I'm not afraid of my past, and you shouldn't be afraid of theirs either. What truly matters is the future we're creating. The tension was palpable as he walked toward the edge of the crowd, each step echoing his newfound strength. Fear threatened to grip his heart again, but he pushed it away, each heartbeat resonating with defiance. Whatever you think you can take from me, whatever power you think you have, it means nothing in this moment. He declared, the crowd behind him rallying their support. We will not be silenced. We will not be intimidated. We are a community, and we will stand together. The figure's face twisted in anger, their hands balling into fists. Yet just when it seemed chaos would erupt, a collective roar of support erupted from the crowd. Naomi and Sarah, standing firmly behind him, conveyed strength in their solidarity. The community had rallied behind Ethan, a tidal wave of promise washing over what once felt dire. What they wanted to tear apart, we are solidifying together. Ethan shouted, allowing emotion to carry his words. Kindness will prevail. Together, we can overcome anything. The figure stepped back as if pushed by an invisible force. Their threats had been answered not with fear, but resolve, and what once felt dangerous now shimmered with empowerment. As the crowd cheered, Ethan felt a wave of realization wash over him. He had not only surfaced from the shadows of his past, but he had led others into the light. Perhaps this was the change he sought, a testament to the incredible strength found in vulnerability. With renewed purpose, Ethan turned to his community. Let us continue this journey together, hand in hand. Let us change the world. Cheers erupted, and for the first time in a long time, he felt whole. As the day faded into evening, the bonds they formed shone bright. Ethan discovered that true transformation came not from escaping the past, but from embracing it collectively, purposefully. Each victory, every connection reignited from his choice to stand firm. None of them would stand alone again. And as laughter echoed around him, he knew anxiety had been replaced by unyielding hope. This was not just an ending, it was the beginning of something magnificent. So, you need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that celebrate transformation. Go ahead, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We need your support to grow stronger. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to replace fear with love. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You're a part of this community, and together, we can redefine what the future holds.